Today we have updates on a new Stephen King horror flick, a new update on the Jason universe, MaXXXine, and Scream 7. Now let's get into it! Before we get into today's update, I real quickly want to thank my awesome patrons out there for supporting this page and allowing me to keep making this weird little show. Without you all, I wouldn't be able to continue posting these strange little videos to the internet, and I am eternally grateful for you fellas. Please consider supporting me on Patreon by clicking on the link in the description of this video or by clicking on the join button on this page. Thank you again, my horror-loving supporters. Now let's get into the updates. Just like last year's The Boogeyman, another Stephen King short story has just been adapted into a movie. This time around, though, it's called The Monkey! The Monkey! The Monkey has just been acquired for distribution by Neon. Neon is in some ways the new go-to indie horror distributor. As A24 gets away from indie releases to focus on bigger budget movies, Neon has put out some of the better indie horror flicks of the last 5 years. They include Immaculate, Infinity Pool, Titan, Possessor, and The Lodge. Across the board, those are all standout horror flicks in my humble opinion. The Monkey comes from a collection of Stephen King short stories titled Skeleton Crew, and it is, in my opinion, his best collection of short stories, maybe across his entire repertoire. Some of the other shorts included in this collection are as follows: The Mist, The Raft, and The Jaunt. Not only are those three of my favorite short stories from King, but you've also probably seen adaptations of all three of those in other forms of media. The film is produced by modern-day master of horror James Wan through his company Atomic Monster, and it was written and directed by Osgood Perkins. James Wan is a director who needs absolutely no introduction to modern audiences at the very least. He directed Saw, Insidious, Aquaman, Dead Silence, Malignant, Furious 7, and a bunch of other successful movies. Osgood Perkins is not only a terrific horror film director who made movies like The Black Coat's Daughter and the upcoming Longlegs, which is also from Neon hilariously enough, but he's also the son of Anthony Perkins of Psycho fame. You might have heard of that last one. It is a little obscure, but it's got a cool shower scene. Some notable cast members in The Monkey include Theo James, Elijah Wood, and Rowan Campbell. It makes me really happy to see Rowan Campbell be in better horror movies, at least I hope. I just did a segment the other day on yet another horror film he's starring in that's described as more of like an 80s thriller. I'm really hoping that Mr. Cunningham here, Mr. Campbell, makes a better name for himself in the world of horror, outside of the world of Halloween Ends. Dude's a good actor. He was just working with a mid-script. The plot description for The Monkey reads: when twin brothers Hall and Bill discover their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start occurring all around them. The brothers decide to throw the monkey away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. But when the mysterious deaths begin again, the brothers must reunite to find a way to destroy the monkey for good before it takes the lives of everyone close to them. The story lends itself to a familiar flow, something similar to The Possession or Annabelle, where a family unit is like kind of struck by some new item that's just come into their possession. It's got some kind of curse or horror demon attached to it, whatever. I imagine this is going to be a similar case to 2022's Smile, a film that, yes, flows in a similar manner to other movies that came before it, but its tone is what makes it something so different. If you can look past that element, it should be fun, or maybe it's just not for you, and that's okay too. Whatever it ends up being, I just hope it's another great addition to the Stephen King extended universe. Last week, we got the announcement from Horror Incorporated and Victor Miller that they're launching the Jason universe. No, that doesn't mean any new Friday the 13th movies are happening, because it's still just tied up in a bunch of legal BS, but they are going to be selling a bunch of new merch and video games, so I guess that's cool. Many fans are annoyed that they're trying to profit off of an IP with nary a film project on the horizon, and the Crystal Lake series currently going through a creative overhaul. Today we got our first announcement regarding these activations, because Jason is going to be a brand new playable character in the upcoming Multiversus from Warner Bros. Multiversus is basically just Smash with Warner Bros characters. It also features Agent Smith from The Matrix and Gizmo and Stripe from the Gremlins franchise. It looks cool, but like, it's not a new Friday the 13th movie either. If there's any kind of silver lining to the situation though, maybe seeing Jason in pop culture recently will spark interest in wanting a new movie. Maybe those film rights could wiggle their way out of the metaphorical vault over at New Line. Fingers crossed. Maybe that's just the eternal optimist in me talking, but hopefully it leads to a new movie somewhere down the line. Your boy will keep you updated if that does end up happening though. This new poster just came out for Ty West's MaXXXine, and it raises some suspicious questions I've been having about the film recently. It might even double down on one of my biggest MaXXXine theories regarding how this film is going to end. The poster features MaXXXine Minx on the red carpet for the film she seemingly stars in, The Puritan 2. We got a little taste of this scene in the first trailer for MaXXXine, and I believe it's misleading. I believe that scene is only happening as a fantasy in our titular character's mind. We saw something similar in Pearl, the last entry in the X trilogy, where during her audition, Pearl is imagining it's going excellent, it's going so well, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. But then when it's over, the judges didn't really seem to care for it all that much. I believe that MaXXXine is destined to have a similar fate here in this new movie. I've seen some folks talking online about how they want MaXXXine to succeed, they want her to be that big star, but man, I do not want to see that at all in this new film. Maybe a hot take, but let me explain. Both MaXXXine and Pearl are incredibly similar characters, all the way down to their motivations being the exact same, one a little less murderous than the other, and they're even played by the same actress. Just like Pearl, MaXXXine is insufferable, egocentric, and thinks she's God's gift to the world. And that clearly has not changed since the last time we saw her in 2022's X. Roll that clip from the trailer.
Did you always want to be in that line of work?
I always wanted to be famous.
MaXXXine fucking Minx.
I just don't think it would be really satisfying to have this super unlikable character get everything her selfish heart desires. What I love so much about Pearl is you're watching this downward spiral of this antagonistic character. Like, I don't like Pearl. I would not want to be in the same room as her, but I love watching her lose her fucking mind. MaXXXine has a couple of successful routes that they can go down to give us a satisfying ending. They could make her go down an arc where maybe she starts to care a little more for her fellow man and not just about the success of her career. Or she could stay a static character and die chasing fame. One or the other would work for me. You could also have the ending be a little bittersweet, where she gets everything she wants, she is the star of this brand new movie, but she lost a lot to get there. But the scene in question here, the scene that this poster is clearly showing off, it shows MaXXXine super excited. She's waving to all of her beloved fans from afar. Again, I just don't think that would be satisfying, and I genuinely do believe this is just something going on in her head. This is not the way the movie's gonna end. Come on now. That works for a character like Sidney Prescott, not so much MaXXXine Minx. Last weekend was Texas Frightmare Weekend, a horror convention that I hear is absolutely excellent. I would love to go someday. In attendance was Neve Campbell, who will reprise her role of Sidney Prescott in the upcoming Scream 7. During a panel where the stars of the Scream films spoke about the franchise, Neve Campbell revealed a bunch of little details regarding the upcoming flick. She said the writers got her approval on where they wanted to take the franchise next before they started writing it, and that she was the one to personally ask Kevin Williamson to direct the next film. Neve Campbell seemed to be very excited about the upcoming Scream film this weekend, and it has a lot of fans excited too. I hate to be a dark, cynical storm cloud though, but I feel like a lot of what she's saying about Scream 7 is very candy-coated. Up until Neve announced her return to the Scream franchise with that Instagram post I talked about many videos ago, the conversation that revolved the character of Sidney Prescott was all about if Neve Campbell would take on the role, and the only way that that would happen is if Spyglass drove the money truck up to her front door. You'll remember before shooting Scream 6, the news broke that Neve Campbell would be absent from the latest installment at the time due to a pay dispute. She even defamed the studio with comments that made them seem misogynistic. Now she's doing nothing but praising them and their new project. I want to make it very clear that I have no problem with Neve Campbell making bank here and promoting the new Scream film. Good for her. She absolutely deserves it after what happened with Scream 6. What Spyglass did to her absolutely sucks big hairy nutsacks. I'm honestly so happy for Neve Campbell, but I also just don't think we have a clear picture of what Scream 7 looks like at the moment. I want to hear more about it from some of the other people involved personally. Like I said earlier, big ol' money truck going right up to her door. That clearly has happened. So of course she's gonna have nothing but positive things to say about this movie. I'm not judging her. I would do the exact same thing in her situation, and all of you would too, whether you'd like to admit it or not. And again, maybe I am being too cynical. If that's your take, well, I respect it. But she just blasted this studio not 2 years ago, calling them misogynistic, not paying her enough, saying if she was a man, she totally would have gotten way more money to be in the next movie. And now she is gushing over their next project, saying this is going to be the best thing ever. I can't wait for Kevin Williamson to direct, etc., etc. I just don't think that at this time we can really gauge what Scream 7 is going to look like yet, good or bad. I need to see a trailer first, or at the very least a plot description and a full cast list, which at the moment we don't have any of that. During this convention, she apparently told a fan that filming for the new Scream film will begin this fall, not this summer like many have speculated. I'd still take this with a pinch of salt, considering that it does come from a fan who just met Neve Campbell this past weekend, so anything's possible. I will say though, I think it makes a little more sense for them to start filming this fall, like let's say late August, early September area, somewhere around then, because again, we don't know anything about this movie really. One cast member has been confirmed, and apparently the script just got done like a little over a month ago. They're probably still in pre-pro, man. They're probably still casting, scouting locations, figuring all of that shit out. Even though it's not confirmed yet, I'm sure we'll see more familiar cast members like Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers and Patrick Dempsey as Mark Kincaid. It's not confirmed yet, but Neve Campbell has hinted at that in past interviews, so it's probably gonna happen. One last thing I want to point out is that Scream podcaster Ryan C. Showers recently posted a new picture of Courtney Cox rocking a new hairdo. She apparently has bangs again, but thankfully nothing as bad as what we saw in Scream 3. It might be a funny little Easter egg if Gale Weathers had bangs again in Scream 7. Her new bangs look a lot better than how they did in 3, where it looks like she cut them without a mirror before filming. It might be a funny little like inside joke for the fans. I don't know, something I thought I'd include in this update. Let's hope she rocks this cut for filming maybe this fall. What do you guys think about today's updates though, and which one has you the most excited? If you just watched the Scream 7 update, I'm going to fucking cry. This was so much editing, please watch the whole thing. Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching and supporting me on Patreon. You guys freaking rock. I would give you all a hug right now, but that's kind of tough considering that I'm just a video that's playing on your phone, maybe computer, maybe tablet. Check out the other videos on this channel, please subscribe, and thank you again for watching. Don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.